Hi, I'm Flip Nicklin. Welcome to Humpback Chronicles. I was mostly gone from Maui from the mid 80s till the mid 90s. I was doing stories on other whales in other places for National Geographic, and I was learning a lot. One of the things I was learning is what a special place Maui was for studying whales and how much I had learned and how it helped me in looking at other research studies. The biggest story I ever did for National Geographic was one for the centennial issue in December of 1988, and I was the photographer and Jim Darling was the writer. It was really a dream assignment. Uh, 2 years to travel around with the best people to look at the best studies from the high Arctic to the tip of South America, from eastern Canada to Japan. It was an amazing experience. This was not a natural history story about whales and dolphins. It was a story about research, and research was driving the change in our attitudes. Probably my favorite picture is three people in a small boat next to a right whale. The right whale's not diving, it's hanging its tail up in the air for 4 or 5 minutes at a time. But in the boat, on the right side is Roger Payne, one of the early pioneers. On the left side is Jim Darling, author for the story and person I've worked with for 40 years. And in the middle is Gustavo Alvarez Colombo, an Argentine graduate student representing where we were going to go next. I started out in Argentina working with southern right whales with Roger Payne's people. These are the first wild whales that Geographic did a story about back in 1972. My father, Chuck, was an underwater photographer on that story. We also got to update Mike Bigg's study of killer whales in Western Canada. This was another story we'd done for National Geographic in 1984, but now it had been almost 20 years since that study had started. It was an exciting mix of visiting those earliest stories like right whales and killer whales starting in the late 60s and early 70s, but also getting to studies that were just getting going, looking at blue whales and fin whales and some of the other species. Probably one of the things that was most exciting for me is I just started to work in the high Arctic with narwhals and belugas and bowheads, and to get back up there where there was so much potential and it was the excitement of still new discoveries on a pretty regular basis. A fun part of this story was to expand people's idea of what a whale or a cetacean might be, how many different sizes and shapes you might see, and still call it a whale or a dolphin or a porpoise. One of the hardest things to do, one of the hardest pictures to get at the time, was to be getting a picture of a blue whale that gave you some idea of what it really looked like, the largest animal ever to be on Earth. But it was really hard to do. It was really hard just to find the animals. And at one point, I think I'd gone about 2 months to 3 or 4 different countries without getting anything that was close to describing what the animal looked like. So when we did get above an animal on a good day in calm water in Baja California, it was just a great moment. It's really hard in such a casual storytelling to give credit to all the people that made these things work. In the case of blue whale, certainly Dr. Bruce Mate and Richard Sears were key to any success I had at all. You have to remember that this is a story that came out over 30 years ago. One of the big questions was, can whales recover? Will there be whales in the future? I'm so happy that there are. Though most of this coverage is from the 1988 centennial story, during that period between 1984 and 1996, I did 10 different stories of whales, dolphins, porpoise, and krill all around cetaceans. And all of this was very exciting, not just for the different species and behaviors we were seeing, but the researchers we were working with and the different ideas that they were coming up with. And no matter where we were, my mind would gravitate back to thinking about humpback whales in Maui and what you could do there with the new ideas and the new tools that people were coming up with. And I got back to Maui periodically. There used to be a conference there called Whales Alive, and I'd speak there every couple of years. But every time you'd go and you'd look at the conditions there, and it was pretty quiet research-wise. The idea started to ferment, especially if I was working with Jim, on maybe we should come back. Maybe we should look again at this place. All of these studies and all of this work, all of this photography what was leading me back to Maui. And in the next few episodes, we'll get back to return to Maui, the starting of Whale Trust, whale tales, and start getting into what's happening in more current times and where we are today and where we hope to go tomorrow. Linda and I are working on making our plane reservations today. We're planning to head to Maui early, and we really don't know what we're walking into, what the possibilities are, or how we're going to pay for it, but we're sure going to give it a shot. The last picture in this spread is Dr. Ken Norris from UC Santa Cruz. Ken Norris was, as a scientist and as a teacher, a man who helped inspire a generation of young, passionate scientists to go out and learn about whales, dolphins, and porpoises in the wild. Well, who knows what wonders wait? I guess we're going to find out. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for your support. Bye-bye.